Good morning. Good morning. Trying to get everybody in. Come on in. Let's get those videos on. I see some of you already. Oh, there's Bonnie. Hey, Ben. Good to see you, buddy. All right, let's get some more videos on, guys. Don't leave us hanging. And while we do that, a little bit of icebreaker question, because I'm a little curious myself. Have any of you ever done an estate sale? You just never know, right? So I kind of wanted to ask this. I'm very curious if any of you have ever done an estate sale. Very first sale, Ben. For sale by owner estate sale. Okay, there we go. No, but close. Listed an inherited property. I mean, that could be an estate sale, I guess. Guess it depends on the details. And you pick them up going to their open house. What's that like? Reverse, right? Like reverse. You think you're going for a sell by owner, but no, you're not. Hey, Barbie, good to see you. Nikki said she had an estate sale when her grandmother died. Oh, a year and a half ago. Okay. Rosanna. Oh, you're the PR for your father's estate and also two other houses. Okay. Tabitha sold but not listed. I like it. Honestly, I was way more responses than I expected. I like this. You'll even get more out of today then, because then you'll have a level of familiarity with what Chris is going to be talking about today. So that's going to be fun. A couple more minutes as people are coming in. So on that note, though, so like, what is one of the things that you liked about doing the estate sale, or even the adjacent estate sale, the almost estate sales? What's one thing that you liked about that process? Kathleen, good to see you. Ben says vacant listing, easy for showings. Yep, yep. I mean, can be. Depends on how they manage the house. I know someone dealing with Michelle. Hey, there we go. Good to see you. I know someone dealing with an estate sale right now, and the boyfriend um, doesn't want to leave. Like he has no right to it, but he just doesn't want to leave. Well, I don't know. He's in California. Never mind. He probably owns it in half the state because he just felt like it. Um, yeah. Oh, Bonnie, we'll have an influx of downsizers. I mean, there's a lot of data coming out about the aging demographic of America. Definitely. Most people don't know this. Our largest populace is actually, what is it like? 55 and up, I believe. It's a pretty big thing. It's actually a pretty serious thing for our economy. Um, yeah, so we're hoping good decisions will be made. All right, like 30 more seconds, and then we're gonna get started. For those just jumping in, have you ever done an estate sale? Let us know. Nikki, you're a boomer? Well, I don't honestly know. The only age demographic I know is Gen Z, like what the age range is, and that's only because one of my other companies we do a lot with Gen Z, and I actually had to do it in a presentation in my pitch deck for it. but I don't know the ages of any of the others. You'd be like, I'm a boomer and 12 years old for all. And that's probably not right, though. There's something that tells me that's not right. Like Gen X, I thought that was the super young kids. Is that not Chris? I mean, you got to follow Brian Johnson, man, and his Don't Die mission spends $2 million a year on reversing aging, or at the very least, slowing it down as much as possible. It's pretty impressive. I don't know sanity wise if that's my thing.
I was going for a Talladega Nights quote, but
Oh yeah, whoops. Oh, we're six after. Jeez, you guys should have told me. Let's get started. I respect your time. You respect my time. We all have a good time. So let's get to it, okay? So we wanted to kind of touch on this because I mean, Bonnie, you already brought it up a little bit, which is that we have this aging populace who needs to downsize, or even will have property that will be passed along. It's kind of a morbid thing, but it's also a realistic thing, and it's also a great need that needs to be addressed. And so when we're talking about what Chris could teach, he brought up this, and it was like, I think this is a really good topic. I think it's worth talking about because this is something that we're seeing more and more being discussed in many circles. So that's why we kind of jumped into it. So this is just for all the agents who feel like too many of their leads end up stalling out or changing their mind. None of you could ever relate to that, though. Never. No way. Maybe you want a steady stream of ready to go listings instead of chasing someday buyers and sellers. Again, I know you guys can't relate to this. All your clients are perfect and do everything immediately. They're all cash buyers that buy the first properties, right? The other thing is maybe you just want to spend more time solving problems and less time convincing people to buy and sell. And that one honestly personally resonates with me the most. I like solving problems. I find fulfillment in solving people's needs. It makes me feel useful and important and valuable. It also makes it much easier to charge for my value because I'm providing very clear, tangible value. I'm solving real problems for people. So I don't know if you guys could identify with any of those, but we'll just keep going anyway. So, 4 commitments for being on the call today, guys. Number one, video on. Let's get those video on. A bunch of you do not, but you do. Kelly, you made it. Trina, you made it. Good to see you guys. I love it. I love it. Next is distractions off. You guys are way too smart to show up here just to be distracted, right? Chris makes way too much money from real estate for you not to listen to him. Okay. If he was broke, I'd be like, ignore him, but also I wouldn't let him here. But Chris is very successful. So distractions off, focus, take it in, and really go do something with it. Participate. We're going to have questions. If we have time, we'll jump into a breakout room and even let you role play a little bit. One of the things Chris will show you today, it's super easy, guys, like most of this stuff is. And make sure you just get the most out of it by participating. And then, of course, the most important rule of all, go make someone else's day. Chris and I are giving you this time for free, right? My wife actually helped make the slides for free. We just do this to bless you because we've had great, great careers in real estate, better than we ever imagined. And as Christians, we believe that we pay it forward. Too much is given, much is expected. We believe that. Give it all. So that's why we're here. That's why I do this for you, even though I didn't sleep at all last night. I had sick kids and my wife as well. And Chris, I believe, has a cold. I think he said. And yet here we are because we really believe in this mission. We do. We really believe in giving back because we are so blessed. So another question for you, though. How many listings have said to you they're going to list, but then they just take forever? I mean, they've always got an excuse. We're going to list, but we need to do this, or we have to come back from this, or we're just waiting for this. Our dog has a surgery coming up, so we're going to wait. It also has 3 months of recovery. So we're also going to wait for that. Oh, and now we're hitting, Halloween, and we don't want trick or treaters coming to a house that's what? I mean, the excuses we've heard never end, and some are pretty legitimate and some are not. But regardless, how many leads have you had that just done that to you? It doesn't matter how good you are, man, by the way. Excuses exist and they will always exist, and that is human nature, right? But there are leads out there who don't have a choice and their excuses don't really matter. Okay. Some of those might be, I recently dealt with this, right? Some of those might be court partitions, court ordered sales. That could be, and by the way, court ordered sales is a very big umbrella. That can be short sales, that can be partitions in a divorce. That could be business partners, even who run a business out of their home. I actually dealt with that one time, didn't know that was a thing. That was new. And of course, that can also mean estate sales. Estate sales put a lot of pressure on families. So, this is kind of the things need to change moment. You're showing homes all weekend to buyers who can't decide. You're chasing sellers who might move if the timing feels right. Gosh, the time, what does that even mean? You're following up on leads that keep dragging their feet, all while your pipeline starts to feel a little thin. I wish I had a collar. It would have been better if I had a collar up here. I should have wore my turtleneck. Starting to feel a little thin. And yet there is a family in your market holding an estate sale or needs to hold an estate sale. That house has to be sold. Things have to change for them. They're not in a good place and they need a good person to help them through it. And that's where you come in. Go for the sales that are inevitable. You'll make a lot of money and you'll change a lot of lives. Anybody agree with that? Just drop an X in the chat if you agree with that. If you don't, this is not the call for you, by the way. You probably should go somewhere else. That's why I always ask questions like that, because I'm like, if you don't agree with what I just said, this is a terrible call for you. All right. So, as always, say it with me. Things
Things
need
need
to change.
to change.
And guess what? They will, starting with one estate sale. So let's get into the stats real quick because, listen, estate and probate like leads tend to come from sellers who must sell. That's executors, heirs, power of attorneys, you name it, right? Meaning they have way higher motivation and fewer just looking type distractions. They're not just looking. They've been dealt a hand, and that's the hand they have, and they have to do something with it. They've got to make a play, right? On top of that, 70% of owners plan to pass real estate to heirs. That's a built-in flow of inherited homes you can tap into. That's also a built-in, I didn't even put this on the slide, series of problems you can be prepared to solve. Because there, guys, I cannot stress this enough. Actually, quick question. How many of you have either personally dealt with someone passing, right, and their estates and their assets, and also not even just their estate, but like their body, their clutter, their credit cards? Anybody deal with that? Just drop it in the chat if that's you. Just tell me yes, you've dealt with that. I have dealt with that when my father passed away. It's why I learned a lot more and made sure that my legal documents, should anything happen to me, are set up in a trust. Okay, this is not to sell you on trust, even though you should be sold on a trust. It's a mess, guys, and it's really stressful and it's really hard on people, and it's like one of the worst times. Even if it's a peaceful, even if it's a peaceful thing, right? Like my grandma lived to be 104, right? It was kind of expected that at some point when she reached that 100 mark, she might go. Okay, it wasn't a shock. It was pretty peaceful. Guess what? It was still a huge mess. She grew up from a generation that didn't even know what a trust was, and a will was written on a napkin. Not kidding, by the way. Not kidding. You are needed desperately. 70% of homeowners will need this person. You just have to decide if it's going to be you. And then last but not least, when families realize you can handle the heavy lifting, that's not just, hey, I'm here to sell your house, give me the commission check. That's repairs, vendors, logistics, right? All of the sides. You become more than just an agent. It sounds cheesy, but it is so true. You're a hero in their time of need. I know it's cheesy, but it really is so true. Okay. All right. So you don't have to chase every lead. That's what we're kind of trying to say here regarding estate sales today. Because right now, there are people that have to sell. So why not serve them? All right. So now we're going to let Chris do some talking. First, we're going to get into the step one, right? Which is just finding local estate sales. So, Chris, I put some bullets for you, but if you want to talk a little bit about how to go about finding estate sales.
Yeah, thanks, Robert. So, there's all kinds of different ways. Just like there's 1,000 different ways to build your business in the real estate space. There's 1,000 different ways to go about finding estate sales and probate stuff. So, if you're looking for an estate sale where somebody's actually already selling personal property and you're looking for it advertised like a yard sale, but most oftentimes you'll see the words estate sale or something along those terms. You can look in Facebook groups, you can look at Facebook Marketplace, you can look for signs as you're driving about. There's different ways that you can actually start to look for some of those and start to train some of your people. So a lot of us will actually ask for referrals from our clients on a regular basis. But the clients, maybe they don't always know somebody, or maybe they're not always super comfortable like making referrals. Some people don't have that gift of gab like some of us do, where they're just talking to their coworkers and, oh yeah, by the way, Johnny that works with me wants to buy and move, or whatever is going on. Some of our clients will have that, but there's a lot of them that might be willing to help you out, but aren't really like talking to people on a regular basis. You can even look for the other service type providers. Um, that might be able to hook you up if you can get somebody. Think about like your Amazon delivery drivers, right? They're already driving everywhere. If you can tell them, hey, like send me every estate sale sign that you see, any of them that I close or whatever, I'll toss you $500 just for tossing me the estate sales
In Amazon gift cards.
in Amazon gift cards. Exactly. Right. However it works, like doesn't matter. There's all kinds of different ways you can train somebody to go out work for you. All they're doing is it's not even a referral. They're tipping you off on, they're giving you an address. So now you're paying them to work for you. It's not even a referral. So you can say, hey, look, any address that you send me, if I can close on it, I'll give you $500 worth of Amazon gift cards. That's a win-win. They're already driving around anyways. They might as well give you the address of whatever they saw because, not always is it are you gonna see it on Facebook Marketplace? Are you gonna see it and you call it what you want, the newspaper? There are still people advertising. There still is publicized news in a newspaper. I would assume that the vast majority of you aren't reading a newspaper, but all you got to do is train somebody and say, hey, look, like if you see a sign, just text me an address. That's all I need. Just text me the address. You can shoot me a picture of the sign, the street, whatever it is. You can also teach your those same people to send you FSBO signs. That's another very good one. If you're teaching them
Two
how
birds,
to,
one stone.
yeah. So you might as well tell them, hey, send me FSBOs as well if you're calling FSBOs. And then, uh, sorry,
I
so
know.
because
I
I have
got
a
that
cold.
cold.
So if you don't want to door knock, as Robert put on here, you can use Red X. There's a few other different ones where you can actually get some of that data.
Mm-hmm.
I don't use Red X. I use a different one now. I can't remember what it is. Debbie does have a code, I think, for actually getting things a little bit cheaper on one of them.
Oh, cool. We'll reach out to Debbie. We'll hook
So
you
we
guys
can
up.
reach out to Debbie and get that code. Um, Michelle Worden just asked, how do you convert a FSBO?
We'll
Uh,
get into that, Michelle.
yeah.
We'll do we'll actually bring Walt in and we'll have him do a FISBO training exclusively because that's a whole different conversation. And Walt's strategy is really solid. It's very good and it has high conversion. So we'll get you that. Sounds like that one. That's one you'll be interested in. All right.
Yeah. That's part of the how. So you have to find the estate sale, right? And then once you find the estate sale, you got to contact them.
All right. Well, that's step two.
Yep.
But real quick, before we jump into step two, there is one question I want to address right away. So Nikki says it seems like the estate sales come after they already have a real estate agent. What's your thoughts on that and experience?
Yeah, so that can be true. Sometimes they do already have a real estate agent, but vast majority of people, if you talk to them, even a FISBO or anybody, oh, I already got a real estate agent. If I want a list, I've already got a real estate agent. Everybody already knows a real estate agent. Now, whether they have paperwork already signed or not, that's two different things. Because everybody knows a real estate agent already. I don't know anybody that doesn't know an agent of some sort. And a lot of times to a client, if they, or a potential client, if they know a real estate agent, they're going to tell you they already have one because they just don't want to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the vast majority of them. So they're going to,
That's the vast majority of leads.
that's the number one way to shut you guys down is say, I already have an agent. Until you can actually start to get to know them a little bit and price some information out, then you find out, well, we haven't signed anything yet, but we're trying to figure out what we're going to do. That's where you squeeze yourself in. And really, I hate to say it to you guys, but that's all we're doing as real estate agents, anyways, is squeezing ourselves in. We're squeezing ourselves into every deal that we do in some way, form, or fashion. They already probably know six or seven other agents. We're squeezing our way in somehow, either through that a better relationship, a better connection, a better service, whatever we've done, we've tried to figure out a way to get ourselves in the middle between them and their next contract.
It's also important to note, okay, this is very, very important. And so hear this, okay, hear this because this is exists outside of estate sales as well. But estate sales in particular, most agents are not particularly good at them. If they've done one, it's usually been because of relative and it was chaos. But statistically, people do not turn to agents in times of death. They're just they haven't been conditioned to think that way. Um, right? I've conditioned people for years exactly what they call me for, right? And I even had to do it with my own family. Someone else I know, my sister is dealing with her mother-in-law passing away in that estate sale. She knew to call me, and she knew because I had conditioned her. She's like, at first I wasn't even going to call you, and then I remembered you said when these big things happen, I'm supposed to call you, right? But most of you, respectfully, are not teaching your clients how useful you are, right? You're so focused in the moment. Let's buy the house. Let's sell the house. Let's get this closed. And then everything goes into this very casual, kind of lofty relationship that floats in the air. And you just hope that maybe someday something might come from it versus saying, I'm very, very direct and intentional. Because remember, I'm not the family type agent. Chris is. I'm not. I'm super like, listen, I don't really care about your kids if I'm being real, their names and stuff. I want them to have a great home and a great life, but I'm not their parent. I'm not their teacher. I'm not that guy. Okay. But I am the guy that if you have an electrical problem, you should call me and I'm going to scold you if you don't. I'm going to scold you into submission because I can protect you better than you can protect yourself. You're going to get screwed by this world if you don't come to me first. And so I've got people who call me, and I'm sure this happens to Chris too. They call about the driveway. Guess how much I make off of someone cementing their driveway? Zero. I don't make any money off of that, but I get to protect them. And I condition them to know anything that has to do with even remotely close to their estate, they're calling me. They're calling me so that when I get my chance to actually make some money, I get my chance. Okay. All right. I just wanted to emphasize that for you guys because it's very, very important. All right. Let's move on to communication now. Starting the conversation. So easy. Go ahead, Chris.
Sorry. So
Yeah.
on this side of things, it's hey, this is my name, Chris Rains. You want to let them know you're with Epic Realty, whatever it is. I specialize in helping families settle real estate sales and solving problems that come along with removing leftover personal property repairs, and even vendors who take great care of my clients with both service and discounted rates. I always let them know very early on I can save them a lot of money with my vendors. So some of them, I can save them more than what I would charge for listing the house by having enough vendors that can
Mm-hmm.
actually save them money along the way. When you start looking at wholesale prices on things, whether that's wholesale prices on the stuff like flooring and products, or wholesale prices on install
Mm-hmm.
like flooring, or more of like a wholesale pricing on even paint. It's kind of crazy to think about, but somebody could get on Google and the same 2,500 square foot house could be $10,000 if you call a painter on Google, and it could be 2,500 bucks to paint if you use the right person and call me to get that 2,500 square foot house painted. Like that's a huge difference. I mean, that's an easy $7,500 in savings versus calling the guy that's listed on Google if you Google painters. I don't know if you guys are seeing that in your market, but
I see it all the time. Everything is at a premium. And I'm not even saying it's wrong. It's just reality. I'll give you an example. Water filter for the home. The premium
Mhm.
market price for the one that I have is $10,000. Okay. So then, um, so a client's asking me, oh, because I mentioned this. I always mention everything, everything. They're like water filter and stuff like that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The one I have is $10,000. I tell them I know the premium price so that I can really show my value immediately. But listen, I got a guy. I got a guy. He's right around the back. He's been here for 3 weeks waiting for this moment. No, I got a guy. He does a great job. He did ours. I bet you I could get a couple $1,000s off. I mean, you just got to know your vendors. And like anyone else, and Chris is good at doing this, have a relationship with them because they have homes to sell and referrals to make. But you should know them too. And you'll know what they can reasonably do. And then you'll know how you can make yourself really exceptionally valuable. And so that I ended up getting them that water filter for $4,000. So I saved them $6,000. That's a pretty large chunk of change. And there's a lot of opportunities that exist in your everyday life if you build relationships like Chris does with the vendors and knows them and knows what they can do, knows what a discount is, knows what the market looks like. It makes you very, very valuable. And like you said, it's a great pitch to go in and say that typically I can save people more than I even charge them. Like, and all the time and all the stress and the anxiety and not having to worry about it. Like it's a great pitch. It's very simple as long as you just know what you actually bring to the table.
I recently just had a guy, and then the house is on the market right now. It's been on the market about 10 days. It's an estate sale. I got the referral from one of my guys that does a lot of estate sales. That's another way that you can build up this business. But I they actually needed a roof. Um, they had a
Hmm.
roof leak, so needed a roofer, and it was a Saturday, and it was a couple weeks ago whenever we were getting a bunch of rain. And Saturday morning, I get the call from the estate sale guy saying, "Hey, like we're over here doing this estate sale, and the roof is leaking." I literally had a guy on a Saturday morning, my roofer guy. He was there in like an hour and a half. He patched the roof, and then gave him a fair bid on a full replacement once insurance money and everything else came through. But I didn't even have the listing at this point yet, but that was kind of my segue in. So my
Yeah.
my estate sale guy that was trying to hook me up was like, "Hey man, all right, I got an opportunity to introduce you to the seller now that he needs vendors." And he's like, "I could do it, or I can just pass it to you and let you take care of everything." So I get on the phone with the guy, get all that taken care of, schedule a listing appointment with them while I'm on the phone taking care of the roof stuff. I'm like, "Hey, well, let's go ahead. I would love to chat with you guys about the house." I scheduled a listing appointment. At the listing appointment, the seller was like, "Well, at this point, I would just about hire you to sell this house just to have you in my Rolodex in my phone to call me
There we go.
call me for your vendors." right? Like I want to be able to call you and say, hey, like I need a vendor for this and this and this, and like be able to save some money. So it's looking at it and saying, all right, how do I become a tool in their tool belt? And I will tell them, I'm like, look, I'm kind of like a Swiss Army knife, right? I've got multiple different tools in my tool belt to be yours. Let me be your Swiss Army knife.
I love it. I I can't emphasize this enough, guys. Like, if you focus on the value that you bring, and then you just constantly have conversations and you're intentional about articulating that value, that service, you will have people who sell themselves on you, right? Like when Chris walked into that listing appointment, he said, I'm going to hire you just to, even if I didn't sell the house, I'm hiring you. I'm just hiring you. You're such a valuable person. It has to be you. I mean, I've had situations where, even for me, um, people who had bad experiences, not even for something. Well, actually, I did have one person. I had a client who had a bad experience. I did a poor job, just to be clear. It was my first year in real estate. I did a poor job, but I was so authentic. One, I was humble and admitted I did a poor job. I made a mistake, and that sucks. And you paid the price. And Chris kind of probably knows this story. Then I kept keeping up with this client. I never assume nobody wants to work with me, even if they have a bad experience. Until they block me, I'm probably going to follow up with them. And so I made it clear to this guy. I said, listen, um, I'm going to um, I'm going to sell this piece of property that I kind of messed up on for free next time around, for free. Okay. Because I've got to make amends. And this is the best way I can do it. If you hold it, you'll still make money. You just won't be able to do what you want to do with it. Okay. Well, here's what happened later. Okay. Years later, to be clear, years later, I get a call, or I think it was a text. Hey, Robert, I need to talk to you about selling this piece of property. Um, you're the only agent I would trust to do it. I thought about selling it to a wholesaler and I realized I'm probably getting ripped off. So I want to talk to you. Then I talk to him and he tells me, I'll pay you whatever you want. I was like, what? You know the deal? And then he said, no, I want to get you paid. I want to get you paid. I'm like, what is going on right now? And he's like, you're the only agent I trust. He moved to another state and all this, and he had dealt with other agents over there, and they were horrible. Then he dealt with a wholesaler who, guess what, was horrible. And he's like, at least Robert owns up to his mistakes. He's still helpful. I did mostly a good job. I just didn't, I was new and I just didn't know something. And I thought I did it right and I didn't. As simple as that. It wasn't even anything contractually. I didn't do anything that was contractually wrong. Right. And we ended up making him $100,000 more than what he thought he could make on his own. And we did such a phenomenal job. We were able to, and he was very happy to pay this, to be clear, because we went so far above and beyond. He paid 10% commission. How does that make sense, guys? Unless the value is so extraordinary that they'll pay anything for it because it actually saves them from their big giant problem that keeps them up at night. Right? And that's all that Chris is really saying at the end of the day, is just solve these big problems, have real solutions for real problems, and people will pay you gladly. They will. Okay. All right. Let's move on to the next step. So get in front of the decision makers. This was a good one, very important and often missed. So go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, so whenever you're trying to get in front of decision makers, the relationship's always important. As it says here, you can cold call, you can door knock, you can message them, you can try texting, you can do all those things and schedule an appointment. Um, and you have to know there's always multiple errors. Usually there's one main person, one main decision maker. A lot of times it's pretty tough to get past that one main decision maker. Sometimes you might be able to do a Zoom call or a Google Meet or a phone call with multiple people. I would say that the vast majority of mine do tend to be with that one decision maker, and then that decision maker goes back to everyone and says everything. Um, I'm not always as hard pressed on trying to get in front of everyone. However, whenever we are making decisions, and even especially after I have the listing and I'm working them through repairs, there's always people that want to skimp on
Mm.
repairs. Like we put in flooring on a house and they didn't want to paint the house on the inside. And it's all these like awful colors,
That was
like
polite.
deep burgundy and this like yellow color that's on the screen right now. Like on the walls, it's very dated. And I was like, look, guys, for like $3,000 total, including paint, we can get this entire house painted. It's a pretty decent sized 4 bedroom house. And I'm like, we can get the whole house painted for 3 grand. And they just wouldn't do it. The other heirs were not willing to spend more money to get the house fixed up. And I'm like, you guys are gonna cost yourself way more than $3,000 for not painting
People
based
are
off.
surprisingly selfish when someone dies.
Yeah.
It is honestly, it's pretty sad to see. Um, it's good for us to be logic and reason, bring logic and reason to the table because I've sold a few estate sales myself. It's natural when you keep up with your clients and a follow up. I mean, people just come and go. That's true. I've also helped agents sell estate sales, and the majority of the time, the majority of the people are extremely selfish and they bicker and they fight and then they argue. And not always, but it's a very self-driven, and so
Yeah.
it's very important that when you come into this situation, like he's saying, get in front of the decision makers, be clear, have a plan, but also know your audience. Know that most of them, and it's again sad to say, most of them are thinking, how much am I going to get out of this? And so you have to come in with that understanding that there's no way of getting around that. They're thinking that, and you can't just pretend. You just can't pretend that that's not what they're thinking. You need to know, like Chris said, you need to know one, what you can do for discounts, what you can do. So it goes back to that value proposition, how you save them money, how you make them more money, right? Now, they won't always agree with you, but you're going to be negotiating for multiple parties essentially on one side of the transaction alone. You're essentially negotiating with this heir here and this heir here, and sometimes an heir there. And then you'll have the random like family member who's not even an heir who is like, well, I always knew this person. And even though they totally said something different in their will, they want something else. I mean, I've had the most wild things, like just some random person. I haven't talked to them in 20 years, but let me tell you what they want. You don't have a voice here. Right. So I just want to say, like, you need to know your audience too. I meant to put that as a bullet. Understand the mindset of what you're going into. If you haven't done a bunch of estate sales, and Chris, I mean, feel free to agree or disagree, but it's very selfish, sadly to say, selfishly driven. And you need to know that when you're speaking to them, because at the end of the day, you have a job to do. So you're going to have to navigate through that to get that job completed because there still is a critical need here. Would you agree or disagree, Chris? Where are you on that?
I would absolutely agree with that. Yeah. Um, a couple other things I want to touch on too is the estate sale companies that you can partner with on this and getting in front of these people to build a relationship. So if you're build a relationship with the person that's doing personal property estate sales, they're not an agent, they're not competing, they're doing the personal property. A lot of times that's where I'm getting in as well. Like I said, I've got a partnership with a guy. He hooks me up pretty often with some estate sale opportunities. And then the other thing you guys should know is that not every house works for an estate sale company. Like they've got metrics that they want to hit. It
Mm.
may not be enough personal property within a house to do an estate sale. Like the company's like, look, like there's not enough stuff here for us to come to a sale. That doesn't mean that that company can't hook you up with that opportunity to sell the house.
Mm, well said. Like your Mark Spain leads, right? There's just some things that don't hit Mark Spain's buy box or their
Yep.
coverage area, and they don't want to miss out on still an opportunity to make a little something.
Yep. So
Smart.
from there, the estate sale company could still they could that whoever that person is running that company taking those meetings can still give you that info. They can ask, "Hey, do you have a real estate agent you're working with? Are you open to meeting with somebody else? I've got a great person. They can talk you up, work through all that stuff, and kind of go from there." Um, I'm reading Trina's comment here. How does that initial conversation sound with the estate sale companies? It just depends on what your relationship is and what kind of vendor network you have. So that's kind of how I would start with a very similar vendor network conversation. Because you want to show them, hey, look, I've got this list of vendors and I've got a lot of people to help take care of problems that they're having. So you want to be solution oriented.
Mm-hmm.
Most of these companies are looking for somebody to take care of stuff for their client and make that process easier. And they want to be known for handing off that lead that made those people's lives easier because then it looks good for their estate sale company. Like that's one of their partners that is making their life easier even far after the personal property estate sales over, right? It kind of carries through there. Um, Nikki says, I've got two people reach out for the estate sale. One of them is great for the pre-work, smaller cleanup, paid by the hour.
Nice.
Yeah, so there's a few things that you guys should know about some of that stuff. Even with personal property estate sale, and it's not necessarily like I'm doing the personal property estate sale. Sometimes I'm a little bit more involved. Sometimes I'll do my open house the weekend that the estate sale goes live. That way I can stand at the door if they're going to have 100 people walking into the house looking to buy personal property, I better be standing there with my card saying, hey guys, we're actually doing an open house right now as well. If you have any questions about the house, let me know. And then you start having conversations with more people. When's the last time any of us got 100 people through our open house without it being an estate sale doing personal property? I'm going to assume that zero of us. Right now, if I host an open house and I get one or two clients through there, one or two potential customers through there, I feel like I just won, right? Somebody that shows up at all at the estate sale. When you do an estate sale alongside of the personal property and you go active that weekend and do an open house and you stand there and you get an opportunity to meet hundreds of people, you never know what that's going to lead to. So I stood there. I literally one of them. I stood at the front door, opened the door, and said, "Hey, I'm Chris, real estate agent. We're doing open house right now. If you got any questions, let me know." And then as people were leaving or standing around, I'd start having conversations. Like there's so many different ways to make your estate sale pay off even better than just a listing. It's just making sure if you can get them through and get the paperwork done prior to the and have it go active during the estate sale, you can get a lot more exposure for you and your business doing
I
that.
like it. I like it. I was gonna have us do a breakout room, but to be honest, guys, the script is very simple and very easy. What I think would be better, unless you guys have some more questions to drop, what I think would be better for us to work on um, is starting to write down your offer. For many of you, that's going to be a key thing that you bring to the table. It also helps with your confidence. When you know that you're showing up with value, it just makes you much more confident when you're articulating that to someone because you actually did show up. You did your homework, if you will. So why don't we kind of let me first go over these quick mistakes and then let's kind of build on your offer together. Let's just do the rough outline of it. But quick mistakes. So overthinking the first conversation, just keep it simple. You are the solution provider. You're not a pushy salesperson. You're just here to try and fix someone's problems. And that you got to remain true to that messaging because the commission breath is a real thing. Desperation is a real thing. And they do not lead to good things. They don't. It just corrupts relationships. Um, only contacting them once. Come on, guys. Uh, you got to follow up. Okay. especially with estate sales who are more overwhelmed than they probably have ever been.
Hmm.
I mean, they're learning entirely new things. They're managing someone's accounts. For some of them too, remember, it's not just the estate in the physical sense. They've got credit cards that often they have to deal with. They've got people who won't talk to them because they're not on the account. I mean, it is such a pain in the process. Um, and so you need to stay top of mind because they have way bigger things happening. So you just got to be consistent in reaching out and solving their problems. Just stay consistent in the follow up. And then, of course, waiting until you have the listing to add the value. Chris started off the conversation with this, which is, the roof story is a great example. You have a roof leak, and it's a Saturday, and you need a roofer out there. Okay, I'm going to try and fix that problem. I don't have the listing yet. I'm going to try and fix that problem. Right. So lead with value. They have problems. Can you solve those problems? And the more problems you solve for someone, the more likely you're going to get a listing for the estate sale. But remember, oftentimes they're selling someone else's listing, which means that they themselves may end up a client of yours. Remember that you might be dealing with multiple parties. So other heirs may end up clients of yours, referrals of yours, right? Like this is not only is it a great opportunity to be someone's light in darkness, but it's a great opportunity to build a solid reputation with people and show them just how good and valuable you are. Okay. All right. Real quick, Bonnie had a question. Offer to those who inherited or to the estate sale companies. Um, I think, what do you think, Chris? Do we focus on the offer for the inherited?
You need an offer for both, right? So as you start to scale up, if you are doing listings direct with the sellers, you're going to probably get some opportunity to connect with the estate sale companies, and you really need an offer for both. The easier way to scale this is definitely by having the estate sale companies teeing you up for solid leads.
So then
That's
let's do that offer.
the
Let's
way.
kind of like, we don't have to do something perfect, but let's just rough out some of the outline of what are some things that need to be ready to bring to that conversation, right? What would you say, Chris? What are some of the things that you're like, if you're going to talk to any estate sale companies, at the very least, you need X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, you're going to need trash out companies, so trash out, clean out crews.
Make sure
Move,
you guys write this down. I don't have this in the bullets.
yeah, you're good. Trash out, clean out companies, movers, flooring, paint, uh, just a general handyman, plumber. Um,
Paint, plumber, flooring, trash out. Okay.
I mean, that's going to be your majors
Okay.
for the most part. You're
Awesome. Trina,
and a
she has all
roofer
those.
and a roofer, and an HVAC guy. Like you need your think major systems, and then the main things that people usually need to do in order to prep their house for sale. Um, and paint and flooring are very common.
Okay. Especially since they haven't been living there. If it tends to be an older person, the maintenance of the home might have gone down a bit. So there's going to be a need for freshening up. Um, okay. So they need to have those kind of main services for the home.
Yep.
And then also just a little bit of extra for prepping it for sale.
I'll tell you guys a secret too. If you guys want to find vendors that are affordable or doing wholesale prices, if you go to new construction developments and talk to the vendors on site, those people are
Hmm.
working at wholesale prices. You don't even have to go find them. Those people are already working at wholesale prices. You already know because they're not going to be doing like those tract builders like Meritage or D.R. Horton or any of these people that are subbing those contractors in. Those people are already working at wholesale prices. So if you can go direct to those new construction neighborhoods, connect with them,
Smart.
ask them who their boss is, who you can connect with about doing some side work, then they'll pass you to whoever it is. That's the guys like the flooring guys I use. They do all of Meritage stuff around here. Now, I didn't connect with them directly through that, but I know for a fact that they do all the Meritage stuff because I've had them go out and quote homes that didn't necessarily need new flooring, but the clients that bought a resale didn't like the flooring color.
Mhm.
And he shows up at the house and he's like, "Oh, we put this flooring in originally. Like we put it in the first time." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Oh yeah, we did this entire neighborhood." Yeah, so they did it all. So from there, like, all right, that tells me you just have to backtrack it. All right, so if you guys are the ones doing that and this is your current pricing, yada yada yada. If somebody's in a different market, you just need to go look at the new construction development, find one where they're building, find one where they're putting flooring in, go talk to flooring guys, and go at it from there.
All right, so
So,
just to recap, so you're going into the estate sale conversation with the estate sale companies. You need to have the major services prepped and ready. Let them be real relationships. You didn't just Google someone and said, "Look, they've got a lot of reviews. I've got a guy." Actually have a guy that you know that you talk to that will cut you a deal. That's important. That's very, very important. So don't cheapen this because that will cheapen the relationship overall and you'll lose trust with the estate sale. So um, bring those to the table when you have that conversation. What else do you think they need to be prepped for in that conversation?
um,
I know, put you on the spot.
yeah, you're good. What else? So there's always going to be people disagreeing on which way they should go about things. There's going to be people that just want to sell it as is, and people that are willing to put money into it to get it fixed up.
So I'm talking about with the estate companies. I know I said
Oh, sorry,
estate
sorry.
sales. Sorry, estate
Okay.
companies. Let me clarify.
So when you're talking to the company itself, a lot of times those companies are looking for some value for themselves, right? What's in it for them? Right. So you need to be prepped for that. What's in it for them? So if you're doing enough volume and you're getting maybe some estate sale leads from some other places as well, let's say you have a probate attorney that you're working with too, and you can hook them up with more additional estate sales, that is a way that you can provide value for them.
Mm,
If if you're trying to get in front of somebody in your specific market, and there's people that are looking for estate sale companies on Facebook groups, and they're saying, "Hey, we've got to close out this estate sale." Even if you don't get the listing, if you can tag that estate sale company and keep
mm.
trying to build rapport with them and show them that you're trying to support their business, it's going to increase the chances that they want to support you, right? You got to figure out a way to make them like you. Know, like, and
It's like
trust.
it's like forcing them be through kindness, forcing them through service. You know, you're like, I'm gonna make you want to work with me because I mean, if you think about it, you know, even just me thinking about it as you said that, aside from you, I don't think I've seen any other agents ever tag an estate company. I mean, something that you and I have always done very good with our vendor partners is we'll tag them in comments. We're very, very proactive, even if we have nothing to gain from the immediate transaction. We're very good at making sure our partners who hook us up, we hook them up. Um, and that is a standout thing. That is a standout thing for an agent to do is to just be intentional and trying to tee them up for some deals,
Right.
trying to tag them, um, you know, where they can. That's smart. Yeah.
So some of them are also going to say, well, maybe they want a marketing fee. Maybe they have a marketing budget of some sort. And if they're doing enough volume in estate sales, and you can say, hey, well, how much are you spending on marketing a month in order to generate a estate sale business? Then you look at that. And maybe instead of throwing money at your own marketing expenses, if it's somebody you've built a relationship with and trust, and they're spending,
Mm-hmm.
let's say, $1,000 a month on Facebook ads and leads for their estate sale company, maybe you throw the $1,000 at that instead of throwing $1,000 at Facebook buyer leads or whatever else. That
Yeah.
way you're generating some listings. So then they're generating that conversation. They go in, they talk you up. There's not near as much competition on the estate sale side of things as there is being a real estate agent. So if
Yeah.
you get your estate sale partner in the door to then talk you up as a real estate agent, sometimes it can increase your chances of actually getting in because there's just a lot more noise to sift through on the real estate side of things as there is to the personal property and doing an estate sale of personal property.
100%. All right. I love this. I didn't realize the time. So last questions. Let's see. I saw one. Michelle said, "Do you just ask if they are working with an agent, the estate sale company?" Michelle, is that what you're talking about? If they're already like got a partnership? So, Chris, I mean, is that just a quick question you start off right away?
It kind of depends, right? Because if you're gonna ask for something that's gonna shut you down, then you're gonna get shut down, right? If you lead off with that kind of question, and uh, it's just probably not going to work. It's kind of like going into a FISBO and saying, "Well, do you have an agent that you plan to work with if you plan to list?" Yeah, we got one. All right, see you later. Like it's going to be the same thing. So you got to figure out how to have a conversation and look for a way to truly network with them a little bit. Ask them, "Hey, are you currently working with a real estate agent that's providing you some type of value?" Right? That's a different way to ask. And then also to make them like question themselves, like, well, I've got an agent that I send this stuff to, but they don't actually provide any value to me.
I was just gonna. This is no different than a listing appointment, guys.
Yeah,
I mean, everybody knows agents, so I mean, you
they know
can't just
agents.
right. You can't just throw in the towel and be like, "Well, they already know someone, or they've already worked with someone in the past." I promise you, pretty much every client you will ever have has always worked with someone else, unless they're a new first-time
Yep.
buyer.
So you can ask them, you can also just phrase it like this. What are your current real estate partners that you've send leads to doing to actively help you grow your business right now?
Boom,
Just
boom.
instead of asking, are you working with an agent? Go ahead and assume that they are. What are your current
I
agents doing?
like that. Bold,
Yeah,
bold,
go
and
ahead and
thought
assume that they
provoking.
are. Like, make them question their current relationship with any of the vendors that they have, and then prove them that you're different than what they are already doing.
Yeah, I like that. All right. Any last minute question, guys, before we call it? Also, just a question for you all. How was this? We haven't done really much in estate sales before, but like I said, with the aging population, the fact that it's a big need. Um, Ruth, can you drop it in the chat? Or actually, I can unmute you. You got your video on. I only unmute people who have video on. Go ahead, Ruth.
Yeah, no, okay. So here in my market, there are estate sales like all over, like estate sale companies advertise. There's like a website, estate sales this weekend. And I've been wanting to partner with one or two, or just to feature them in social media. Like these estate sale companies do this, that, and the other for you boomers who are downsizing. Um, and I guess wonder how I should approach that because most of them are like old ladies and like the ones who run the companies, like they don't even have email. So anyway, I don't know if you have
They're the
done
ones
that or
about to
have
have their
advice.
own estate sale.
Well, that's that's tough, man. So as I would look at that, if you're trying to connect with an estate sale company, look for the people that are younger companies looking to scale, right? Not the people that are like, oh, well, we do an estate sale once a month and we kind of, and like we don't even have email. Look for the companies that are coming up because there are companies like the one that I work with. They did like 70 something sales last year and they've been in business under 2 years,
Ooh,
right?
that's
That's a
impressive.
lot of sales. So
Wow.
the, look for people that are looking to scale. I was fortunate because he and I were already friends on Facebook. He watched me for the last several years grow my real estate business, and he was working with a handful of different agents. He actually approached me to start working with him some, and then now I get everything, right?
Because you
But
deliver.
I didn't get everything to begin with. And then once I started taking over stuff and started doing things and like really making everything flow well and do what he was expecting and exceed expectations, then it's like, all right, like you're the guy. I'm not calling anybody else. So from there, like it's just pushing through and working and saying, all right, like how do I change this? How do I put him on a pedestal? How do I make him look good with everything that I do and go above and beyond? So,
All
uh,
right. Misa, drop the newsletter in the chat, guys. We'll be giving you the slides and the replay for you, so you can go back. We'll send it out on Friday. We also have our Facebook group. You can get in there. You can tag Chris. He'll answer more questions for you as they come up. But he'd also love to hear, and I would too, just how it's going, good, bad, ugly. Ruth, I want to know. Tell me when you're reaching out to these people. I think Chris made a really good point. Who do you want to partner with? That's really the question, right? We do know statistically just someone who has been a solo person and who has always done it their way is very unlikely to ever share. Most of those people will keep their pearls tightly clutched to their chest until the day that they have their estate sale. It's a new way I'm going to say passing away. Right, that'd be fun. Right, and so you don't need to pry those people open if you don't have to. I think go for someone who has ambition, who is putting in effort, who wants something more from what they have, because then you can be the provider of that more. Right. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it, Chris. Thanks for being here and talking about estate sales. Not many people talk about them. And I like that you always approach it from a very real way. You're not saying go buy this big course and lead gen company and it'll take you the next 3 years. And right, you're just like, here's a practical way to get out today and find yourselves some estate sales and building those relationships. Again, guys, newsletter in the chat. Make sure you're subscribed. We'll get you the replay, the slides, and then get into the Facebook group and ask Chris some more questions and share them what you're doing. Appreciate you guys, and have a great day.